Have you ever heard students say, "Ma'am, what do we do next? Sir, we did the first step, so what's next?" Upon hearing this, one could think that the students are not autonomous enough to achieve a complex learning situation, or to work by themselves for that matter. One might think that the best way to lead appropriately these students to the end of their learning situation would be to list and spell out all the remaining steps. However, separating a complex learning task in small steps in which students are told what to do will only increase their dependency. Indeed, the more they are told what to do, the less they know how to deal with situations by themselves. Offering an open-ended, complex, and meaningful learning situation to our students makes learning possible. But a high-quality learning situation is not the be-all and end-all of pedagogy. If our students don't show any ability to deal with great challenges by themselves, how can we bring them further towards success, independent thinking, and self-teaching? Asking the right questions can be quite simple. In fact, they'll certainly come to you naturally if you genuinely try to understand a new phenomenon or a concept that is just out of reach for you. But if we take a closer look, in school, as teachers, we ask students questions about concepts we master deeply, to the point where we often forgot how we learned it ourselves and how hard it has been for us at some point in time. And that's important to put ourselves in that position again. Building a good, engaging question that will have a real impact on learning can be a challenge. So what simple tools could guide us in our questioning task? Metacognitive questioning is one of them. I will elaborate further on this one. First, we have to agree on this premise. A talented student is not the student who has the highest IQ score. Rather, he or she is a student who recognizes which strategy should be used depending on the context. In short, metacognition is used instinctively by talented students or talented police officers, doctors, or whatevers to plan an action to choose the right strategy according to the task at hand or the context and monitor the use of that strategy. If the strategy reveals itself to be wrong or inefficient, the student is able to replace it by a more effective strategy. And after the task is over, talented students, talented police officers, doctors, and whatevers review their repertoire of strategies and replace inefficient strategies with more fruitful ones, or at least try something new. Metacognitive questioning is a rather natural strategy for some students, but not for all. For example, many special needs students need to explicitly learn this process for it to become a natural internal monitoring strategy, but it might be a second nature to many other students. It is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. So when could teachers use this strategy? The best moment just might be before, during, and after a learning situation. By asking which questions? Before the learning situation. These questions are intended to guide the ability to plan a complex task before starting to work on it. We can help them develop this ability with questions like, with what part of the task are you familiar with and why? What strategies would be most efficient here? How will you monitor your progress? During the learning situation, well, these questions are intended to develop the student's monitoring reflex during the task so that they realize before too long that the chosen strategy is inefficient. We can support this process with questions like, how do the chosen steps enable you to progress toward your goal? How can you tell your understanding is improving? Should you modify your plan? And there are more important questions after the learning situation. These questions should help students transfer the effective strategies in similar contexts and undo the association of a strategy that revealed itself unproductive in this context. They could sound like, how was your approach consistent with your goal? Did some of your colleagues use a more effective strategy than yours? If you had to do that type of task again, what would you change in your strategy? These questions help students understand that what really matters to succeed in a learning situation is not luck nor IQ. It is one's ability to use the right strategy at the right time. It is accessible to everyone, but one has to plan before acting, monitor one's actions during and after the task, and replace inefficient strategies with effective ones. These questions, as you might have guessed, also help develop autonomous learning. With these questions in mind, When students face a new context, they are more likely to explore their repertoire of strategies by themselves and choose the ones that they consider to be the most efficient. After a task is completed, they have to decide whether a strategy was efficient or not and understand the reasons. This is the internal dialogue of the efficient self-taught learner.